it's another review in the daytime where we can like worry about lighting and.
I thought you were gonna say something else. I thought you were gonna say, "Hey, it's time for another episode where Jerrid reviews a sequel where he didn't see the first one."
That too.
Don't worry though. It summed it up for you at
did.
the beginning of the movie.
I was about to mention that. Yeah.
Kind of. I'll get more on that in a little bit.
You know what? I'm okay with the briefing that I got. I did not think much about this franchise, so yeah, just...
Well, now you haven't seen the first one. Maybe you'd watch it when you get home, you text me and like, dude, it was so good. I want to see the second one again to give it another chance. So, I was glad for that recap at the beginning too, because I have seen the first one, and I barely remember
I was going to say, yeah.
You were asking me about it earlier, and I go... I saw it 2 years ago. I remember thinking a lot of it was kind of okay, and then it had a really stupid ending. And the beginning of this starts out like it's recapping a previous episode of a television series.
Right.
So it makes it feel like you're watching a season premiere of something in the theater.
Yeah.
But I was glad it was there, because when it was playing out, I was like... Okay, yeah, I remember the... Yeah, right, she was in this movie. That guy. Okay. You were asking me, like, who was the bad guy? I'm like, I don't even remember. I was like, I can't remember if a villain showed up at the end, or if it was, like, Cube. So, I did remember...
Dude, the recap even showed something in the first video or first movie that didn't even make sense, and I caught it. I caught it in that thing. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right.
But when they were like, the logo is coordinates for their location. They didn't even design the logo right. They didn't even put the logo together the right way.
God, I mean, you caught that way early. I didn't catch that at all. That makes me think, like, you know what? If I'm stuck in an escape room, I think now I kind of want you with me. But there was an ending scene in the first one where they get on a plane. And the plane, it turns out, was part of the escape room.
Seriously?
But then the opening of this doesn't show that.
Yeah.
It shows them... I'm going to get more on this later because I'm going to spoil the shit out of this movie. But before we get to the ending of this one, I'm going, are they retconning the first one where, like, am I missing a line? Are they saying that the thing with the plane was a dream? What's going on here? Again, more on that later. So the rest of it plays out where... It's the survivors of it's the escape room version of Catching Fire, where it's the winners of the previous escape room traps all get lured onto this train, and for the next 80 minutes, it's more or less the same as the first one, except I remember liking the first one a little bit more than this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I did not have a good time in any of this movie. Everything in this movie is so ridiculously dependent on not just one coincidence happening, but about 1,000. Like, right away, where I'm like, all right, like, it's lucky enough you got them all on this train at the same time, regardless of whatever scheme you did to get them on here. But let me compare this a little bit to the Saw movies. Now, there's some Saw movies that, like this, have to do with a group of people making it through several traps until a couple of them get to the end. Now, whenever one of the Saw movies was like that, like 2 or 5,
yeah,
I can buy that a couple of them would make it as far as they did in those traps.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them, but some. I can go along with it. In this, the traps are so goddamn intricate and confusing. Like, I was having trouble following a lot of it. It was making me so frustrated that halfway through the traps, I was starting to get bored and just wanted them to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Because I got sick of trying to follow all of the coincidental shit that they're figuring out here that requires the right things to happen at the right time, that it's hard for me to even buy that any of them would make it out of the first trap in the film.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what if none of them did?
Right.
Like, okay,
right.
well, that's fast. You wasted all of your money on these other traps that you set up that none of them are going to because they couldn't solve your first confusing ass trap.
Well, and so that's the thing too about it is, I guess what you're calling traps, I just thought as escape rooms and everything.
Yeah.
So in this movie they do a chain of escape rooms. They just do like one right after the other.
It's the same with the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, I just got bored at just the repetition. After about the third or fourth escape room, I'm just kind of like, again.
And the characters they're not interesting enough to carry it. And it's not that the acting's fine.
They don't even establish their names until after the first one.
The first trap?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah. I didn't care enough about them. And then some would survive in the same trap someone else died. And I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was in a couple of parts. And you know what? In some of it, I was chalking up to, I'm not very good at puzzle games. I did an escape room once. I got some of them, but I mean, they weren't as like intricate as some of the stuff that you're doing.
Thank God you're still alive.
Yeah, thank God. I'm never doing that again. But so I was like, maybe it's just me. Maybe someone who's very, very, very good at escape rooms can make it through some of this stuff. I don't know. And correct me on that if you've seen this movie and you think that, hey, you know, some of this is solvable.
I mean, it is. I'm pretty good at puzzle games, but at the same time, like I said, I just got bored. It was just. Here's the thing. I said this to you off camera, but I think this movie was written by someone who really liked escape rooms.
Sure.
And just wanted to turn them into this movie franchise.
Yeah.
But not everybody is as into escape rooms like that. And I just.
But maybe if you really are, maybe you'll get something out of this movie more so than me. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sitting there watching it and seeing all these people make it through this ridiculous shit and going like, this is like somebody going in cold to Simon's Quest and beating it in 10 minutes. Amazing. I'm impressed. I don't even know if the wizard could do that. I was bored when I was watching it. And since it's a PG-13, it's not like you're getting really any over-the-top kills in this thing or anything like that. There's a couple of acid deaths that sort of happen off camera. There's a sequence in it with these deadly lasers that come out, but again, it's PG-13. You're not going to get anything like the Resident Evil movie.
One guy actually got hit in the crotch with one of those lasers, and he lived.
Yeah, I was confused by that. I was like, I thought he got hit, but I guess he just bumped his head. I just wanted, I mean, and the movie's not very long, so at least there's that. Like, I think it's under 90 minutes.
You said 80, and I'm thinking, really? It sure felt like longer, but
sure.
Thank God it was only 80.
I got a text, like, most of the way through it, like, Doug sent me a text asking me about cats, and I go, oh, thank God I have someone to talk to. Like, I can focus on something else. I can focus on something way better, like cats. And then when it gets to the finale of this movie, where they think they've made it out until they're at the police station, and then Agent Villain comes walking up, like clearly acting like a bad guy.
Right.
You're like, well, I can't believe you made it out. We sure found those bodies, didn't we? Too bad we lost a lot of the evidence.
Right.
And then it's them boarding a plane in which the girl says to the other dude, like, did you think those puzzles were too easy? I'm sitting there going, no! What the... And then it turns out the plane is a trap. Mm-hmm. So it feels like it's been 10 years since I've seen the first one. I'm looking at this now going, okay, is this movie taking place between most of the first movie and the end of the first movie?
Right, because this also ends on a plane.
It ends on the plane, and it turns out to be another escape room. Like, is this taking place in between all that? And if that's the case, what a pointless sequel.
Right.
Like, talk about a sequel that does if I could be wrong, and I apologize if I am, and please correct me if I am.
I don't think you are, though.
But if that's what this is, if this is now caught up to the ending of the first one, it has the same ending. Like,
right.
I've learned nothing new
right.
about this. What is the point of this movie?
I mean, they even say in the movie it's the Tournament of Champions, and it even shows, it follows the two that survived the first movie, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it logically, continuity speaking, this would have to be after the first one. God, and that's the worst part too. Within like the first 10 minutes of this movie, someone actually says the subtitle of this movie.
What is this? Some kind of Tournament of Champions? I kind of snickered at that a little bit because it was so, well, not because I thought it was a good line, because I was like, oh, you did that shit, didn't you? You learn nothing new from this. You don't know anything more about the company that's behind this than you did in the first movie.
You don't learn anything about any of the characters at all. So how many started with the first one? Was it like 6 or 7?
Probably
like 6 or 7 people. One of them dies in the first one, and then we get to know the survivors' names. So that first guy that died, we have no idea what his name was.
Yeah, the guy who died on the subway?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they're like survivors of other escape rooms.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the first one was, I could kind of say the same about any movie like this that has a group of people together and there's traps and escapes. You're gonna get to know some more than the others because there's always gonna be a couple that die pretty quick.
But I feel like you still know their name, you know?
Yeah, maybe they said his name.
I doubt they did.
I honestly can't remember. The first one,
Hearing aid guy.
Yeah, hearing aid guy. The first one, I remember liking the characters a little better. Maybe, again, I'm going by very loose memory of the first one. Like, until the recap, I forgot that the girl from Daredevil was in it. And I'm like, oh, right, she was in that. I remember kind of liking her in that movie. This, you're with the 2 survivors from the first one and then the other random characters that they have thrown in there. But I didn't care. I didn't through this whole thing. There's no real reason for this movie, let alone it being in theaters.
Right.
Direct to streaming, DVD, okay, fine, sure. Have a sequel to Escape Room, why not? Going out in theaters, seeing Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions.
We were 2 of 4 people in that theater.
Yeah.
2 of 4 people in that theater.
Which is kind of par for the course now anyway with most movies we go see, even the ones that do really, really well. But no one wanted to come see Tournament of Champions at 5:30 on a Thursday. God. So, grades.
You want to go first?
Sure. I don't think it's poorly made, really. And as confusing as the rooms are, it's not like there was no thought put into them. There was, maybe a little too goddamn much.
That's just the thing. I think that what they wrote for the rooms, they sacrificed for story.
And character as well, they certainly do. You can tell they put some time into these rooms to a very ridiculous extent. But at least I'm like, all right, well, they were trying to put some originality in there a bit. It wasn't working for me. I couldn't wait till they got to the next one. So I'll give it that. So I'll give it a generous D+. Because it didn't really, I wasn't sitting there watching it mad, really. If I was angry watching it, I would probably give it something lower, and if it was longer, I'd give it something lower. So it's too forgettable for me to go super low. Sure. So yeah, D+.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I'd just have to go with a D-.
Sure.
Yeah, it was just so atrocious.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy myself at this. Thank God we got it out of the way early.
Right.
Thank God there was an early screening for
Right.
this. So, alright. Next week is Old? And Snake Eyes, I think, is next week, too. So, alright. Thanks for watching.